Marcus wanted to humiliate his former wife by sending her an invitation to his grand wedding ceremony. He expected her to show up looking defeated and miserable. But when Sophia pulled up in a gleaming white Bentley with a powerful man by her side, the entire venue fell silent. The same woman he once called worthless now stood beside a trillionaire. And that was only the start of the story. Long ago, in the bustling city of Riverdale, there lived a man called Marcus. He was a successful entrepreneur in his mid-30s. Everyone in town recognized him as someone who valued wealth, luxury vehicles, and influence. Marcus dressed in designer clothing, owned the latest automobiles, and carried himself with extreme confidence, as if ordinary ground was beneath him. He was arrogant, vocal, and constantly demanded people's admiration. Yet underneath the mansion, underneath the diamond-studded watch on his arm, there existed a portion of his existence that frustrated him daily. His spouse, Sophia, had no baby. Sophia was a reserved and kind woman. She was lovely, with rich caramel skin and gentle eyes that often held sorrow. She had wed Marcus because of genuine affection, not his fortune, and for 8 years she remained loyal to him. But those 8 years turned into years of suffering, because each month she hoped, and each month the result was identical: no baby. One night, the tension that had been growing in their relationship finally erupted. The house was silent, the atmosphere thick with stress. Sophia sat on the bedroom edge, her fingers clasped firmly together. Marcus walked into the bedroom, frowning, his necktie loosened, his tone filled with frustration. 8 years, Sophia? Marcus yelled, throwing his vehicle keys onto the dresser. 8 years of waiting and still no baby? Do you want me to pass away without an heir? Sophia raised her eyes slowly, her voice shaking. Marcus, I have done everything possible. We have done everything possible. It is beyond my control. Perhaps we should visit another specialist. Perhaps there is still a chance. Chance? Marcus laughed with bitterness. Is that what you have been repeating to yourself? I am exhausted from hoping. My mother phones me constantly to question why you have not provided me a son. My associates mock me privately. Do you understand how it feels to be ridiculed as a man without offspring? You have made me appear foolish. Sophia's eyes became wet. Please do not speak this way. I am your spouse. We made promises before God. We promised for good times in difficult times. Why do you treat me like I am worthless?
Marcus's tone grew angrier. Because you are worthless to me currently. What value is a woman who cannot produce children? You consume my food, dress in my garments, travel in my automobile, yet you cannot provide me one son to continue my legacy. Sophia, you are bad luck in my existence. Sophia's mouth trembled as she attempted to respond. Do not label me bad luck. I have prayed. I have wept. I go to sleep every evening asking God to bless us with a child. I am not content, Marcus. Do you believe it brings me happiness to be in this situation? I am suffering too. Marcus turned around, walking across the room like a trapped animal. His frustration burned stronger with every statement. Enough with your tears. I am finished waiting. I will not permit you to ruin my life. Tomorrow, I will contact my attorney. This marriage is over. Sophia inhaled sharply, as if struck in the chest. Divorce? You will divorce me after all this? After I supported you when you had nothing? After I abandoned my family for you? Marcus, have you forgotten the love we shared? Marcus spun back to face her, his eyes icy and harsh. Love cannot create children. My mother was correct. I should have divorced you years ago. I require a spouse who can provide me sons, not a woman who fills my home with emptiness. By tomorrow, Sophia, I want you gone from my house. Sophia collapsed, dropping to her knees, grabbing the bottom of his pants. Please, Marcus, do not do this. Give me additional time. Give us additional time. God can still respond. Marcus pulled his leg back as if her contact repulsed him. God has nothing to do with this situation. You are the issue, and I am tired. You will depart. That is decided. The confrontation resonated through the walls. The household staff whispered amongst themselves, but none dared enter the room. Sophia's crying filled the atmosphere as she attempted one final time. Marcus, look into my eyes. Look at the woman who prepared meals for you, who cleaned your clothing, who prayed for you when you were ill. I have given you everything I could. Do not discard me like garbage. But Marcus's heart was hardened. He grabbed his phone and made a call in front of her. Yes, Attorney Johnson, prepare the documents. I want a divorce right away. Yes, she will leave tomorrow. Sophia froze, staring at him in shock. You contacted your attorney already? You planned this? Marcus, how could you? Marcus looked down at her, his tone cutting. Sophia, you are a burden. I am liberating myself. If you care about yourself, gather your belongings tonight. By morning, I do not want to see you here. Sophia stood slowly, her body weak, her heart shattering into fragments. She walked to the closet and started to fold her clothes into a small suitcase. Her hands trembled so intensely that she could barely close it. Every garment she folded contained memories, celebrations, worship services, peaceful meals, but now those memories seemed like deceptions. As she packed, Marcus stood observing, his arms crossed, his face emotionless. Not once did he move to prevent her. Not once did his heart soften. Finally, Sophia lifted her small suitcase, her tears streaming freely. She turned to him one final time, her voice breaking. Marcus, you will regret about this. Someday you will discover the truth. Someday you will comprehend what you have done. But Marcus did not respond. He looked away as if she were already absent. With slow movements, Sophia walked out of the bedroom, her shoes sliding on the marble flooring. The house that once felt like a home now felt like a jail. She passed the staff who lowered their heads, afraid to meet her gaze. She pushed open the large front entrance, and the night atmosphere struck her face. She paused, looking back at the estate she had called home for 8 years. Then she whispered to herself, I may be departing with nothing, but I will not stay broken. My God will defend me. And with that, Sophia stepped into the darkness, her suitcase in her hand, her tears flowing, but her spirit silently promising that this was not the end of her story.
Sophia did not know where she was going that night. She just kept walking, holding her suitcase close to her chest. The street lamps were on, but the road felt dark. Her legs were trembling, and her eyes were wet. She could still hear Marcus's voice in her ears. You were a burden. I'm liberating myself. She walked past stores, past sleeping animals, past women closing their shops. No one looked at her twice. No one knew that the woman passing them had just lost her home, her husband, and her peace. Her friend, Rebecca, lived a few streets away. She was the only person she could think of. They had known each other since college, and even though life had taken them in separate directions, Rebecca's door was always open. Sophia knocked gently. The time was almost 10 in the evening. Rebecca opened the door in her robe, shocked. Sophia, what happened to you? Why are you crying? Did someone pass away? Sophia could not speak. She just burst into tears again and fell into her friend's arms. Come inside, Rebecca said, pulling her into the small apartment. She led her to a chair and closed the door. Talk to me, please. What happened? She threw me out. Who? Marcus? Sophia nodded slowly, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. He said I am bad luck. He said I am the reason we do not have children.
Rebecca hissed and sat beside her. That man has no respect for God. After all these years, he did not even check himself. Sophia, you have suffered. Sophia rested her head on Rebecca's shoulder. I do not even know where to begin. I left with just this suitcase. All my belongings are still in that house. Rebecca touched her arm gently. Don't worry, you will sleep here tonight. You can stay as long as you require. I do not have much, but this apartment is your apartment now. Sophia closed her eyes and let out a long breath. Thank you, Rebecca. The room was silent for a few seconds. Then Rebecca stood up. Come, let me heat water. You will take a warm bath and eat something. Tomorrow we will discuss what comes next. Sophia sat there as Rebecca walked away, her eyes staring at the floor. Her heart felt like it had broken into many fragments. That night, she could not sleep. Even though the bed was comfortable and the room was quiet, her mind kept returning to the moment Marcus told her to leave. She remembered how he turned his face away, how he looked at her like a stranger. By morning, her pillow was soaked with tears. Days passed. Sophia stayed in Rebecca's apartment, trying to hide her sadness, but she could not eat much. She barely spoke. She would sit near the window, staring outside, as if something was waiting to change. Rebecca tried everything to cheer her up. One morning she said, Sophia, come with me to the shopping center. Let us walk around, breathe some fresh atmosphere. But Sophia shook her head. I don't want people to see me. What if someone asks about Marcus? What will I say? You will say the truth, that he is a fool who threw away a diamond because he wanted a pebble. Sophia gave a small smile, but it did not last. Later that week, Rebecca brought up something important. Sophia, have you ever gone for a proper medical examination? Sophia looked confused. What kind of examination? A fertility test? Have you ever tested yourself to be certain the problem was not from you? Sophia shook her head slowly. Marcus said it was me. He never agreed to go for tests himself. He said he was fine. Rebecca frowned. So you just believed him? Sophia said, her voice weak. I didn't have a choice. He wouldn't listen, and his mother called me terrible names. They all blamed me. Rebecca stood up. No, this has to stop. We're going to the hospital tomorrow. Let them run all the tests. I need you to hear the truth from a doctor, not from that arrogant husband of yours. Sophia did not argue. She was tired of guessing. Maybe, just maybe, she needed answers. The next day, they went to Mercy Medical Center, a quiet, private hospital where Rebecca knew one of the doctors. Dr. Peterson, a soft-spoken man in his 40s, welcomed them into his office. How can I assist you, Miss Sophia? He asked gently. Sophia looked down. Rebecca answered for her. She was married for 8 years, no child. Her husband divorced her because he said she was infertile, but she has never done a test. We want a full examination. Dr. Peterson nodded slowly. You did the right thing by coming here. We will run some tests, then we will talk. They spent the next few hours doing blood work, scans, hormone tests. Sophia felt nervous the whole time. What if Marcus had been correct? What if she really was the problem? 2 days later, the results were ready. Sophia sat in front of the doctor, her hands sweating.
Dr. Peterson adjusted his glasses and smiled. Miss Sophia, everything looks good. Your reproductive system is healthy. You are ovulating well. Your hormone levels are normal. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Sophia blinked. Nothing? Nothing, the doctor repeated. If there was no pregnancy for 8 years, I advise you ask your former husband to check himself. From what I see, you are completely fine. Sophia covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. I do not know what to say. Rebecca jumped from her seat. I knew it. I knew it. That man lied to you, Sophia. He blamed you just to cover his own shame. Sophia felt her whole world spin. So all this time, I was not the problem? Dr. Peterson smiled kindly. You were never the problem, and when you do find the right man, I believe you will have your own children. Do not let what happened to you steal your peace." They thanked the doctor and left. Outside the hospital, Sophia sat on a bench, her body shaking from the truth she had just heard. "All these years," she whispered, "I begged God. I cried every night. I hated myself, and I was not the one?" Rebecca sat beside her and held her hand. "Marcus will pay for what he did to you. I swear, Sophia, one day he will look at you and wish he never let you go." Sophia looked up at the sky. "Maybe this is the beginning of my healing." The next few weeks were different. Sophia started helping Rebecca with her online business. She was not smiling fully yet, but she was no longer lost. She began waking up early again, eating small meals, and even laughing sometimes. One evening, she told Rebecca, "I want to start something, maybe a small catering business. I've always loved cooking." Rebecca smiled wide. "Yes, that is the spirit. I will help you. Let's make it happen." They used Rebecca's small balcony to start a food service. Every morning, Sophia would cook pasta, rice dishes, stews, and desserts. By noon, workers from nearby offices were ordering online. People began to know her again, not as the woman Marcus divorced, but as the woman who made the best lasagna in the area. One afternoon, a customer messaged her and said, "Ma'am, your food is incredible. There is joy in every bite." Sophia smiled softly. "Maybe I am finally free." But even with the small happiness, there were nights when the pain returned. One night, as she was preparing tomorrow's orders, she turned to Rebecca. "Do you think he ever loved me?" Rebecca looked at her and said slowly, "I think he loved himself more. That is the only thing I am certain of." Sophia nodded. "I just wish I did not waste so many years." "You did not waste them. You grew, you became stronger, and one day God will give you more than you lost." Sophia did not reply, but deep inside, something was changing. A small fire had started, a quiet strength. One Sunday afternoon, Rebecca came home from church with news. "Sophia, guess what?" Sophia looked up from her laptop. "What happened?" "I saw Marcus's business partner today. He told me Marcus is preparing to marry someone new, a flashy woman from the capital city." Sophia's heart paused for a moment. "Oh," she said quietly. "He's even inviting some of your old friends to the wedding," Rebecca added. "He wants people to come and see what a real wife looks like." Sophia looked away. "He is not changed at all." Rebecca came closer. "You know, he might even send you an invite, just to mock you." Sophia did not say anything. She typed slowly on her laptop. Then she whispered, "Let him do whatever he wants. I know who I am now." But that night, as she lay on her bed, her hand rested on her belly. She stared at the ceiling for a long time, remembering what the doctor said. "You are healthy." She placed her other hand over her chest. "God, if you ever saw my tears, please show the world that I was never the problem." And she closed her eyes, not with pain, but with a small smile of peace. Sophia stood in front of her small kitchen workspace one morning, wiping the counter with a cloth. The street was already buzzing with life. Children were rushing to school, taxi drivers were honking, and women were calling out prices from their stalls. She was wearing a simple dress with a scarf tied around her head. The smell of her baked goods filled the atmosphere, and several online orders were already confirmed. She smiled weakly at her phone screen, confirming each delivery. But inside her heart, there was a quiet battle. One part of her was moving forward, but another part still remembered the pain, still remembered Marcus's voice, still remembered how she was called infertile, worthless, and thrown out like trash. "Miss Sophia, I'm here for the pickup," a man's voice broke her thoughts. She turned. The man standing there was tall, with kind eyes and a calm face.
He wore a navy blue suit with a crisp white shirt and carried a leather briefcase. He smiled gently, pointing to the packaged food. "Your desserts smell too good to resist." Sophia forced a small smile. "Thank you. Which order?" "The chocolate cake and cookies," the man replied, "for the office meeting." She packed the items carefully and handed them over. "How much?" he asked. $40, she replied. He handed her a clean bill, took the food, and looked at her for a second. "You don't talk much," he said. Sophia shrugged. "I just like to focus on the work." "That's fair," he smiled. "My name is Alexander, by the way. I work at the investment firm down the road. I'll be ordering regularly. Your desserts have already won my heart." Sophia gave a polite nod. "Thank you, sir." As he walked away, she didn't think much of it, just another customer. But Alexander came back the next day, and the day after that, and the next. Sometimes he ordered cakes, sometimes just pastries, but each time he came, he made a small joke or shared a short story. He never stayed too long, never forced a long conversation, but Sophia noticed he always made her smile. One afternoon, he stayed a little longer. The street was quieter, and no one else was waiting for pickup. "Miss Sophia," he read her name from the small business card. "Do you rest at all? You've been working since morning." Sophia wiped her hands on her apron. "I rest when I get home." Alexander frowned. "You should not work this hard alone. Do you have any help?" "No, but I'm used to it."
There was silence for a moment. Then he spoke again. "If I am being too forward, forgive me, but are you married?" Sophia's heart skipped. She looked away. "I was," she said quietly. Alexander nodded slowly. "Sorry, I did not mean to bring up anything painful." Sophia sighed. "It is not your fault." He stood quietly for a few seconds, then cleared his throat. "Well, just know you seem like someone with a good heart. Strong, too. I admire that." Then he smiled, waved, and walked off. That night, Rebecca noticed something. "Who is the man that always comes to collect orders?" she asked, her eyes full of curiosity. Sophia shook her head. "He's just a customer." "Are you certain?" Rebecca smiled. "Because the way he looks at you—" Sophia rolled her eyes. "Do not start." But Rebecca was not wrong. Over the next few weeks, Alexander did not just come for desserts. He brought gifts, fresh fruits, premium ingredients, sometimes bottled water. He said it was to support the business. And slowly, Sophia started to talk more. She told him about her food journey, about how she learned to bake from her grandmother, about how she used to dream of opening a bakery. One afternoon, Alexander sat on a plastic chair beside her workspace. "Sophia," he said, "forgive me again if I am overstepping, but I see something special in you." Sophia looked down, unsure of what to say. "I lost someone I loved years ago," Alexander said. "My fiancé passed away in an accident. I have not tried to love anyone since, until recently." Sophia's eyes widened. "You remind me what peace looks like. Not the loud, flashy kind, but the quiet one that sits in your chest and makes you feel at home. I do not want to rush you. I just wanted you to know." Sophia did not reply for a long time. She looked at her hands, then at the baking trays, then at him. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know," Alexander said gently, "but I am not Marcus. I won't break your heart." It took months, but eventually Sophia said yes to coffee, then to dinner, then to long walks on Sunday evenings. And one day, as they sat under a tree near the park, she looked at him and asked, "Why me? You could have chosen anyone." Alexander smiled. "Because you are the most genuine person I have met. You carry pain, but you still smile. You were broken, but you did not stay down. That's the kind of woman I want beside me." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. She reached for his hand and held it tightly. "Then I want to try too," she said. They got engaged 3 months later. A simple, quiet proposal. No big crowd, no cameras, just a heartfelt moment between two souls. Rebecca was the loudest one there, celebrating like she had just won the lottery. "I told you," she shouted. "I told you, good things will still come." Their relationship grew peacefully. Alexander was gentle with her. He made her laugh. He listened to her stories. He helped her expand her catering business into a proper establishment. Every morning before work, he kissed her forehead and said, "I love you, my queen." For the first time in years, Sophia felt safe. And then the unexpected happened. One morning, she woke up feeling strange. Her body was weak. She couldn't stand for too long. The smell of coffee made her sick. She brushed it off. Maybe it was exhaustion. But when it continued for 2 weeks, Alexander said, "Let's go to the hospital." At the clinic, they ran tests. She waited on the bench, biting her nails. The nurse returned with a wide smile. "Congratulations, ma'am. You are pregnant." Sophia froze. "Pregnant?" "Yes," the nurse nodded. "About 4 weeks." She covered her mouth, tears pouring from her eyes. Alexander jumped to his feet. "Pregnant? Are you serious?" The nurse laughed. "Very serious." He turned to Sophia, pulled her up and embraced her tightly. "You're going to be a mother," he whispered. "We're going to be parents." Sophia couldn't stop crying. The joy was overwhelming. She held her shirt and cried like a child. The months that followed were full of excitement. Alexander prepared everything. He hired staff for the business so Sophia could rest. He bought baby clothes and furniture. Rebecca came to help daily. The neighbors brought gifts. And on a beautiful Saturday morning, Sophia gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Tears flowed freely. The nurses clapped, the doctor smiled, and Alexander couldn't stop laughing. "She looks like you," he said, holding the baby. "But I'm keeping her. She has my smile." Sophia held her daughter to her chest, crying silently. "I'm not infertile," she whispered. "God proved them wrong." Word spread quickly. People from her old neighborhood came to see the blessing. Even some of Marcus's friends heard about it. "She had a baby?" they asked. "That woman that Marcus threw out?" "Yes," someone would reply. "She even owns a successful business. Her fiancé is wealthy and kind." Some people smiled with joy. Others shook their heads with regret. But Sophia was not thinking about the past anymore. She was holding her daughter. She was planning her wedding with Alexander. She was building a life filled with love and peace. Her scars were still there, but now her life had changed. She was no longer the broken woman crying on the street. She was a mother. She was whole. She was free. While Sophia was learning how to care for a newborn with one hand and manage her business with the other hand, far away in another part of town, Marcus was sitting inside his office, spinning slowly in his leather chair and looking at his laptop screen. His business had grown. The company vehicles were newer, his clothes were more expensive, and his bank account was larger. But there was one thing that still troubled his heart, something that money could not buy. He was still without a child. After throwing Sophia out, he had expected his life to move forward quickly. He believed once he got a new woman, one who could give him children, everything would fall into place. But it didn't. After dating 4 different women in the last 3 years, none of them got pregnant. One even left him after 10 months, saying she couldn't live in a house where the man's mother treated her like a breeding machine.
His mother, Mother Helen, was now older but still sharp with her tongue. "You are not serious," she always said. "You are choosing appearances over family. When I picked Sophia for you, I told you to be patient. You were the one who ran her off." Marcus would always grow angry. "Do not mention that woman to me again." But late at night, when everyone had gone home and the house was quiet, his mind would wander. Where was she now? Did she remarry? Did she find joy? One morning, while scrolling through social media, he saw a picture that froze him. A baby announcement. Then another photo. Tiny fingers holding a woman's thumb. He stared at the pictures, trying to be certain. The hand in the photo looked like Sophia's. The skin, the way she held the baby. It could not be. "No, it is just coincidence," he told himself. But he kept thinking about it, so he decided to block it out with something stronger, another woman. That same week, his friend Kenneth called him. "Man, there is someone you need to meet," Kenneth said over the phone. "Who?" Marcus asked, lazily. "Her name is Vanessa. She just moved back from the city. Fashion designer, wealthy family, very attractive, very classy. And guess what? She wants a serious man, not just all those social media guys." Marcus laughed. "You're selling her like she's a product." "I'm serious," Kenneth said. "She's different. You'll like her."
Marcus sighed. Fine, set it up. They met at a fancy restaurant 2 nights later. Vanessa was exactly as described. Tall, beautiful, with long, straight hair and nails painted silver. She wore a gown that looked like it came straight from Paris. But what caught Marcus's attention was not her looks, it was the way she spoke. Confident, bold, like someone who knew what she wanted. "So, you are the famous Marcus," she said with a small smile, swirling her wine glass. "And you are the Vanessa everyone keeps talking about," he replied. They spoke for 2 hours about business, about travel, about life, but the topic Marcus brought up almost by force was family. "I've been ready for children since forever, I just haven't found the right woman." Vanessa raised her eyebrow. "You were married before, right?" "Yes," Marcus said quickly, "but she could not give me a child. We tried for years." Vanessa said nothing. She just nodded. Then she smiled again. "I'm not in a hurry, but I do want children, maybe 2 or 3. Marcus's heart jumped. "Same here." Within a month, they were seen together everywhere, at events, at business launches, even at charity galas. People started whispering, "Marcus has finally moved on." He started spoiling her, buying her dresses, jewelry, even a car. One day, Vanessa said, "Let us not waste time. If we are serious, let's do it." "Do what?" Marcus asked. "Marriage," she said, sipping her champagne like it was nothing. Marcus stared at her. "You're ready? I'm a grown woman. I know what I want. I don't believe in dating for years. If you want me, show me." That night, Marcus called his event planner. The wedding preparations began immediately. Everything had to be perfect. It was going to be the biggest wedding in town. Red carpet, luxury cars, a live orchestra from Europe, guests flying in from different countries. Marcus was obsessed with making the wedding grand, not just for love, but to prove something to his friends, to his mother, to the world. He wanted everyone to see that he had moved on, that his life was better without Sophia. And deep down, a small voice whispered, he wanted Sophia to see it too. One afternoon, as he sat with the wedding planner going through the guest list, Marcus paused. "Add one more name," he said. "Who?" the planner asked. He picked up a pen and wrote it himself. "Sophia Rivers." The planner raised her eyebrow. "Your former wife?" Marcus did not explain. He just smiled coldly. "Send her the invite. Premium delivery. I want her to be there. Front row seat." Meanwhile, Vanessa was planning her own side of things. She had ordered her wedding gown from a designer in Italy. The fabric cost more than some people's automobiles. Her bridesmaids were already rehearsing their entrance. Her bridal shower was to be held at a luxury resort. To the world, she was glowing, but behind closed doors, Vanessa was getting worried. She had been trying to get pregnant for months. Nothing. Every morning she checked her calendar, every evening she stared at test kits, all negative. She hadn't told Marcus yet. She was afraid. And her mother's voice kept ringing in her head. "Are you certain this man is not the one with the problem?" 2 weeks before the wedding, Vanessa finally brought it up. They were lying on the bed going through some photos on her phone. She said quietly, "Marcus, do you ever think about seeing a doctor?" Marcus looked at her. "Why?" "For examination," she said carefully, "just to be certain everything is fine before we marry." He frowned. "What do you mean by that?" "I mean," she hesitated, "we've been together for months, no pregnancy." Marcus stood up slowly. "So you think I'm the problem?" "No, no," she said quickly. "I'm just saying maybe we both check together."
Marcus's face turned cold. "You sound just like Sophia," he said sharply, blaming me, making me feel like I am defective. Vanessa sat up. "I did not say that." He grabbed his shirt. "Let us not talk about this again, ever." Vanessa said nothing, but inside a new kind of fear was growing. Marcus continued the wedding plans like nothing happened. He told his friends, "This wedding will shake the city. I want my former wife to see what real success looks like." His friend Kenneth laughed. So you are inviting her to humiliate her? Marcus smiled proudly. She needs to see what she lost. But Kenneth looked uncertain. Are you certain that is wise? What if— There is no what if, Marcus snapped. She will sit in that hall and see my new bride walking down the aisle in diamonds. Let her choke on regret. On the day of the wedding rehearsal, Marcus stood in the hall alone before anyone else arrived. He looked around the decorated space, roses, crystal chandeliers, golden chairs, but his heart was not peaceful. He took out his phone and stared at Sophia's name on the guest list again. He thought about how she used to smile when she arranged his neckties, how she made him soup whenever he was sick, how she cried that night he threw her out. He shook his head quickly. No, he whispered. She was the problem. She could not give me a child. I made the right choice. Still, he could not breathe properly. He walked out and lit a cigarette. Far away, Sophia was feeding her baby daughter when her phone buzzed. Rebecca picked it up and froze. Sophia, what is it? Sophia asked, burping the baby gently. It's a wedding invitation. From who? Rebecca turned the phone. Marcus. Sophia stared at the screen, heart pounding. She reached for the phone, read the invite, then slowly placed it on the table. Rebecca was fuming. What kind of insult is this? Is he insane? But Sophia just stood quietly, holding her baby close. Then she smiled, a calm, steady smile. It's okay, she said softly. Let him have his wedding. Rebecca frowned. You're not going, right? Sophia looked at her baby, sleeping peacefully. She did not answer immediately. Then she walked to her room and made a phone call. Alexander, can you come home early today? I need to talk to you about something. When Alexander arrived, Sophia showed him the invitation. He read it carefully, his jaw tightening. He invited you to mock you, Alexander said quietly. I know, Sophia replied. So we ignore it. Sophia looked at him. Or we show him the truth. Alexander raised his eyebrow. What do you mean? Sophia smiled. I mean, we show him that the woman he thought was broken is whole, that the woman he discarded is blessed, that I was never the problem. Alexander studied her face. You want to go? Yes, she said, but not alone, with you and our daughter. Alexander was silent for a long moment. Then he smiled slowly. If you want to do this, then we do it right. That evening, Alexander made several phone calls. By midnight, arrangements were made. The next morning, Rebecca arrived at Sophia's apartment and found her standing in front of the mirror in a stunning emerald green gown. It was elegant, sophisticated, and radiant. Her hair was styled beautifully, her makeup was flawless but natural, and her confidence was visible. Sophia, Rebecca gasped, you look like royalty. Sophia smiled. Thank you. Is everything ready? Rebecca nodded. Alexander is downstairs, and the car. Sophia, you need to see the car. Sophia walked to the window and looked down. Parked in front of the building was a gleaming white Bentley Mulsanne, polished to perfection. The chauffeur stood beside it in a crisp uniform. Alexander arranged this? Sophia asked. Not just any car, Rebecca grinned. He wanted to make a statement. Sophia picked up her baby daughter, who was dressed in a beautiful white lace dress. The baby cooed softly, unaware of the significance of the day. Alexander stepped into the room, wearing a tailored charcoal gray suit that fit him perfectly. He looked at Sophia and paused. You are breathtaking. Are you certain about this? We don't have to go. Alexander walked to her and gently touched her face. I am certain, but this is your choice. If you want to stay home, we stay home. If you want to go, then we go together, and we show them who you really are. Sophia took a deep breath. Let's go. The morning of the wedding arrived. The entire city buzzed with excitement. Social media was filled with pictures. The hashtag Marcus and Vanessa was trending. Everyone talked about how the wedding was the event of the year. The venue was a massive hall near the waterfront. Long red carpets covered the entrance, cameras flashed everywhere, guests walked in with glittering clothes and designer accessories. Prominent politicians and business leaders sat at the front.
Inside, Vanessa stood before the mirror in her white gown sparkling like diamonds. Her best friend, Lisa, adjusted her veil. "You look stunning. Marcus will fall in love all over again." Vanessa smiled weakly. "I hope so." But in her heart, she still carried fear. No pregnancy, no answers, and a man who refused to get tested. Marcus stood at the altar looking around the decorated hall. He wore a white tuxedo with gold accents, his shoes polished like mirrors. He kept checking his watch. Kenneth came to stand beside him. "Why are you restless?" "I'm waiting for someone." "Who?" He did not answer. The hall was filling quickly. Music played softly, guests took their seats, the photographer moved around, capturing every detail. Then, suddenly, there was a commotion at the entrance. A white Bentley Mulsanne pulled up to the venue. The luxury vehicle gleamed under the sunlight. The chauffeur stepped out and opened the back door. Out stepped Alexander first, tall and commanding in his perfectly tailored suit. Then he extended his hand. Sophia emerged from the car like a vision. She wore the emerald green gown that hugged her figure elegantly. Her hair flowed in soft waves, her skin glowed, and in her arms she carried a beautiful baby girl dressed in white lace. The crowd at the entrance went silent. Phones came out, cameras turned. "Who is that?" someone whispered. "Wait, is that his former wife? She has a baby? And look at that man with her. He looks incredibly wealthy." The whispers spread like wildfire. Alexander placed his hand on the small of Sophia's back as they walked toward the entrance. Rebecca walked beside them, beaming with pride. Inside the hall, Marcus was adjusting his boutonniere when Kenneth grabbed his arm. "Bro, you need to see this." "See what?" "Just come." Marcus walked toward the entrance and looked outside. His heart stopped. There, walking up the red carpet with grace and confidence, was Sophia. But this was not the broken, crying woman he had thrown out. This was a transformed woman, radiant and glowing, and beside her was a man who exuded wealth and power. And in her arms was a baby girl. Marcus could not breathe. He grabbed Kenneth's hand. "Tell me I'm seeing things."
Kenneth blinked. "Bro, she has a child. And that man with her? I know who he is."
"Who?"
"Alexander Thornton. He owns Thornton Global Investments. He is worth billions, billions, Marcus." Marcus felt the ground shift beneath his feet. No, this cannot be. But it was real. Sophia walked into the hall with Alexander by her side. The baby cooed softly in her arms. Every eye in the venue turned to watch them. The hall went from loud to silent in seconds. All the music, all the camera flashes, all the laughter paused. Guests did not know whether to sit still or turn around. Some held their phones mid-air, mouths slightly open, while others simply stared. Sophia walked slowly, graciously down the aisle. Alexander guided her gently. They walked to the front row, the exact seat Marcus had reserved for Sophia. She sat down quietly, adjusting her baby in her arms. The little girl looked around with wide, curious eyes. Rebecca sat beside her, whispering, "Are you okay?" Sophia nodded. "I am perfect." The crowd could not stop staring. The whispers grew louder. "That is Sophia," a woman in purple said behind her fan. "She has a child," the man beside her said. "And that man with her? Do you know who he is? Alexander Thornton. He is one of the wealthiest investors in the country." So she was never the problem? Apparently not. At the front, the pastor coughed. "Shall we begin the ceremony?" But Marcus was not listening. He stood frozen at the altar, his eyes locked on Sophia, on the baby, on the truth. Vanessa entered the hall shortly after, her veil over her face, her bridesmaids following behind. She noticed the silence. She noticed the faces. She noticed Marcus standing stiff at the front, his eyes distant. She reached the altar and whispered, "What is going on?" Marcus could not speak. The pastor cleared his throat again. "Shall we begin?" Vanessa turned slightly and saw Sophia in the front row. She saw the baby. She saw Alexander.
Her eyes widened. "Marcus," she whispered sharply, "who is that woman with the baby?" Marcus finally spoke, his voice barely audible. "That is Sophia." Vanessa's eyebrows furrowed. "Your former wife?" He nodded slowly. "That child with her?" Marcus did not answer. Vanessa's voice rose slightly. "You told me she was infertile?" "I thought she was," Marcus stammered. Vanessa's eyes widened with realization. "You thought? You told me she could not give you a child. You said that is why you left her." "I believed it," he said quietly. "That's what I thought." "What you thought?" she snapped. "You never showed me any medical results. You never agreed to go for tests yourself." Marcus rubbed his head, sweating under the lights. "Vanessa, please, can we talk after this?" "No," she said firmly. "We will talk now because the entire hall is watching." The crowd leaned in, listening. The photographers did not know where to point their cameras. Vanessa turned to face the audience. She looked directly at Sophia. "Excuse me, ma'am," she called out. "Forgive me for asking, but is that your child?" Sophia stood up slowly. She adjusted the baby in her arms and spoke clearly. "Yes, this is my daughter." The hall erupted in whispers. Sophia looked at Marcus. Her eyes were calm but strong. "You called me infertile, Marcus. You threw me out and watched me cry on the floor. You said I was cursed. You made me believe I was less than a woman." People gasped quietly. "But I was not the problem. You never agreed to be tested. You said it was always me. But God showed the truth, and He gave me not just restoration, but a beautiful family." She gestured to Alexander, who stood beside her with quiet strength. "This is my fiancé, Alexander. He showed me what real love looks like. He never blamed me. He never shamed me. And God blessed us with this precious child." Marcus could not speak. His tongue felt heavy. His throat was dry. Vanessa turned to him slowly, her face a mixture of hurt and anger. "So you lied. You ruined her. You dragged her name through the mud. In all this time, it was you." Marcus tried to defend himself. "I didn't know. I didn't mean." "You didn't care," Vanessa cut in. "You just wanted someone to blame so you could protect your pride." She stepped away from the altar. "I cannot marry you, Marcus," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "Not today, not ever." The crowd gasped loudly. The pastor stepped back. The choir members looked at each other in shock. Marcus tried to reach for her hand. "Vanessa, please don't do this here." She looked at him one last time. "You are not ready for love, Marcus. You are still trapped in your ego. I deserve better than this." She dropped her bouquet on the stage and walked out of the hall, her bridesmaids rushing after her. Her heels clicked loudly on the marble floor until the sound faded. Marcus turned, eyes wide, breathing hard. The room spun around him. Guests began to whisper louder now. So it was his fault all along? He wanted to humiliate her, and he humiliated himself. That man is shameless. Marcus looked at the ground. His knees felt weak. Sophia turned and began walking out of the hall too. Alexander carried the baby, while Sophia walked beside him with her head held high. She did not look back. She did not shout. She did not gloat. She walked like a queen leaving a courtroom, with dignity and truth wrapped around her like a royal robe. Rebecca met her at the door, grinning. "Sophia, you did it. You showed them the truth."
Sophia shook her head gently. "I did not do it to prove anything. I just came to be seen, to let him know that his words did not define me." They stepped into the Bentley. The chauffeur closed the door gently, and the car pulled away smoothly. Inside the car, Sophia held her baby close. Alexander put his arm around her. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. She smiled. "Yes, I am more than okay. I am free." Back at the venue, Marcus sat alone on the edge of the wedding stage. His tuxedo looked too big now. His confidence had evaporated. The decorations were still perfect.
the food still untouched, but the joy had left the room. Guests began to leave quietly, some shaking their heads, others recording videos for social media. Kenneth walked up quietly. "Bro, what now?" Marcus did not answer. He just sat there staring at the door Sophia had walked through, the door her bride had run through, the door his lies had opened. And for the first time in his life, he felt truly alone. Marcus sat alone on the edge of the wedding stage, staring at nothing. His white tuxedo, once pristine and elegant, now had wrinkles from where he had slouched. The gold accents looked dull. The hall, once filled with noise and celebration, had turned cold and empty. Even the catering staff were packing equipment in silence. He could not feel his fingers. His ears were ringing. His head was pounding. What had just happened? How did everything collapse in one day? Kenneth, his best man, came and sat beside him. He had removed his bow tie and looked more exhausted than confused. "Marcus," he said carefully. Marcus did not answer. Kenneth continued. "You did not see that coming, did you?" Still no answer. Kenneth sighed. "She came with a baby, bro. A baby and a billionaire fiancé, and the whole world was there to witness it." Marcus turned his head slowly. "I planned that wedding for months. I know. I invited her to sit there and watch me move forward." Kenneth did not say anything. "She came, not crying, not broken, but with a child and a man worth billions." Marcus rubbed his eyes hard. "How is that possible?" Kenneth leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "That is what everyone is asking now. You said she was infertile. You divorced her because of that. And now she has a child, not adopted, her biological child." Marcus's chest tightened. "But she never got pregnant while we were together." "Did you ever get tested?" Kenneth asked quietly. Marcus did not reply. "I'm serious, did you?" "I didn't need to. She was the one who needed testing. She was the one without a child." Kenneth turned sharply. "Says who? You? Your mother? Gossip? You just assumed." Marcus's voice cracked. "She never argued. She never pushed back. Because she loved you. She was loyal. She believed in you. She did not want to fight." Marcus swallowed hard. "I begged you not to leave. She cried and said we could still try. I called her cursed. I told her to get out." Kenneth was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Now the truth is staring you, and the whole world is watching." Outside, cameras were still flashing. Social media was exploding. Videos from the wedding were already viral. People were sharing clips of Sophia stepping out of the white Bentley. Footage of Vanessa dropping her bouquet and walking out were everywhere. Hashtags were trending. Sophia returns. Wedding drama. Marcus exposed. Karma is real. Some comments were mocking. Some were shocked. Others were angry. But one thing was clear. Marcus was trending for all the wrong reasons. Later that evening, back at Sophia's home, Rebecca sat on the couch with her phone, reading comments out loud. "Listen to this one," she said. "This woman is a true queen. She did not shout, she did not fight, she just showed up with God's blessing and let the truth speak." Sophia smiled gently while rocking the baby to sleep. "I didn't do it for the world to applaud. I just wanted him to see that I survived." Rebecca looked up. "Well, now he has seen, and not just him, everybody." Sophia lifted the baby onto her shoulder, patting her back gently. "Do you think he feels anything?" "Oh, he feels it. Pride does not protect anyone from shame." There was a knock on the door. Sophia turned. Who could that be? Rebecca stood up. "Let me check." She opened the door slowly, and her eyes widened. "Oh." "Who is it?" Sophia asked.
Rebecca stepped aside. Marcus stood there, looking nothing like the man from the wedding. His shirt was untucked, his eyes were red, his face looked tired and aged. He held his jacket in his hands like a schoolboy coming to apologize. "Sophia?" he said softly. She did not speak. She just looked at him. He looked around the room and saw the baby sleeping in the crib. His heart twisted. "I didn't come to cause trouble," he said. "I just needed to see you, to say something." Sophia folded her arms, her face calm. "Speak." "I ruined everything," Marcus said, lowering his eyes. "I judged you wrongly. I insulted you. I let my pride blind me." Silence. He took one step closer. "I believed I was right. I told the world you were infertile. I didn't even test myself. I just assumed." Sophia finally spoke. "And that assumption destroyed our marriage." Marcus nodded. "I know. I see it now. I was foolish. I let ego control me. I did not protect you. I shamed you publicly." Her voice was steady. "You did not just shame me. You crushed me. You made me feel worthless."
I am sorry, he said, tears forming in his eyes. I am so sorry. I do not deserve forgiveness, but I had to come. He knelt down slowly. Please, even if you do not forgive me, I want to say it. I was wrong. I hurt the only woman who ever truly loved me. Sophia looked at him quietly. I saw the way you walked into that wedding, Marcus continued, his voice breaking. With peace, with strength. You did not shout, you did not throw insults, you just let the truth speak. He looked at the sleeping baby. She is beautiful. You are a wonderful mother. He bowed his head. I am sorry. The room stayed silent for a few seconds. Sophia stepped forward. Stand up, she said gently. He looked up slowly. You are not angry? She shook her head. I was angry for years, but now I am free. Anger does not live here anymore. Marcus stood up slowly, wiping his eyes. Thank you for listening. You should get tested, not for me, but for your future, for your own peace. He nodded quickly. I already did. This morning. Sophia raised her eyebrow. Marcus looked ashamed. The doctor confirmed it. It was I the one with the issue. Very low sperm count, possibly from an untreated infection I had years ago. It was treatable, but I never knew because I never checked. Sophia blinked. So all those years? Yes, he said. It was me. I blamed you for something that was my fault all along. There was a long pause. Then Sophia spoke, her voice soft but firm. I do not hate you, Marcus. I have moved on. God gave me a second chance. I have peace now. Marcus nodded. I know, and you deserve everything good. I am glad you are happy. He turned to leave. Marcus, she called. He turned back. I forgive you. His shoulders dropped with relief. Tears ran down his face. Thank you. Thank you so much. As he walked out of the house, Rebecca came to stand beside Sophia. You are stronger than I will ever be, she whispered. Sophia gave a small smile. I am not strong. I just healed. The next morning, Marcus woke up to another storm. His company had taken a major hit. Some investors had pulled out after seeing the viral videos. He had hundreds of messages waiting. Some were from family members. Others were from bloggers and journalists requesting interviews. But the one that shook him was a message from Vanessa. Do not try to call me. I have returned to the city. Find peace within yourself. I hope you learned from this. He sat back, holding his head in his hands. Everything was gone. His wedding, his bride, his reputation. But strangely,
He felt lighter. Maybe this was what it meant to be truly humbled. Maybe this was the beginning of actual growth. Meanwhile, at Sophia's home, peace flowed like a gentle stream. Alexander returned from his business trip and embraced her tightly. "I saw the videos online. You walked in like royalty." Sophia laughed. "It was not easy. I am proud of you, but more than that, I am happy you stood up for yourself." She looked at their baby daughter, now awake and smiling. "She doesn't even understand what happened. But one day she will," Alexander said, "and you will tell her the story, the full story." Sophia smiled. "And you will be right beside me." They stood there, holding hands, watching their daughter play. No bitterness, no anger, just peace. 1 month had passed since the wedding that never happened. The video clips were still circulating online. The headlines refused to die down. But Marcus had slowly begun to rebuild, not his reputation, but himself. He started therapy. He reconciled with some people he had hurt. He even started volunteering in a community center. He was no longer the man people admired, but he was becoming a man who understood humility. One afternoon, he was at a coffee shop when he saw a magazine cover. It showed Sophia and Alexander at a charity event. The headline read, "Power Couple Announces Major Donation to Children's Hospital." Marcus stared at the photo. Sophia was glowing, holding her daughter. Alexander stood beside her with pride. Marcus smiled sadly. She had truly moved on. She was thriving. He closed the magazine and whispered to himself, "I lost a queen because I didn't know her worth, but I am glad she found someone who does." He stood up, paid for his coffee, and walked out into the sunlight. For the first time in years, he felt something he had not felt before. Gratitude. Gratitude that Sophia was happy. Gratitude that truth had prevailed. Gratitude for the hard lesson that taught him the cost of pride. Far away, Sophia was in her garden, watching Alexander play with her daughter. The baby giggled as he lifted her into the air. Rebecca came over with lemonade. "You know, I never thought I'd see you this happy." Sophia smiled. "Neither did I." "You went from broken to blessed. That's a testimony." Sophia looked at her daughter, then at Alexander, then at the beautiful garden around her. "I learned something," she said quietly. "Pain doesn't have to be permanent. What breaks you can also build you if you let God lead." Rebecca raised her glass. "To new beginnings." Sophia raised hers. "To new beginnings." And as the sun set over the horizon, casting golden light over the garden, Sophia knew one thing for certain. She was no longer defined by what she lost. She was defined by what she became. And that made all the difference.